All right, so let's talk about if NFTs are dying or not. This is really an NFT.NYC recap coming back from it last week. First and foremost, my name is Eric Su, creator of Leveling Up Heroes, which is a marketing NFT designed to help you just get better at marketing. So let's get into it real quick, just looking at the trend lines. So let's take a look at Google Trends, and we can see in the last 5 years, NFTs really started taking off really around 2021 or so, but then it just really shot up. You can see here in January or so of 2022. That's kind of the high point, right? January 16, 2022, worldwide. And you can see from then it's been kind of on the decline, and seems like it's continuing to go down, but it's starting to smooth out a little bit here as of this recording. Now, the other thing we want to take a look at is trend lines. So if we take a look at trend lines, we're using Nansen.ai, and we can see that the year-to-date volume is about 7 million ETH, and the 30-day volume, 581K ETH, it's down 58% month on month. Now, and you can see over here, the high point was May. There's a ton of volume, and it's kind of been dwindling since then, right? Now, well, last week, one of the biggest NFT conferences happened, and NFT.NYC, 1,500 speakers or something like that in New York, and you had people from around the world getting together. And aside from looking at the quantitative data, which I just showed you, trend lines and that type of stuff, also taking a look at the qualitative, right? Like, what is the general sentiment? What's the general feeling around all this stuff? And so I went to the event, and what I wanted to evaluate is how people were really feeling at the end of the day. And what I can say is a couple developments. I'll share a couple stories to give you a sense of where things are going. But before we do, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button if you are enjoying this so far, and let's get to it. So first things first, my friend sold his company for about $200 million, sold a company called Profitwell for about $200 million. His name's Patrick Campbell, and this is public information. You can go search for the transaction. He came from Puerto Rico just to New York for 8Fest, and he went for 2 days. And he came to 8Fest, and we met up. We both worked in software as a service, and so we're both business operators. And we're just talking about how excited we are about the space. And did we talk about the down market at all? Not really. Did we talk about how excited we are, and who we're excited to see at these events? For example, Eminem and Snoop Dogg, they performed at one of the 8Fest days, and each day just had the headliners, right? Headliners on headliners. So I just think, from that perspective, the general sentiment from two business operators is pretty good. And, people were there to talk about building things for the future, right? And so the other thing is I went to a handful of events, and I wanted to gauge a sentiment there. And I actually did an event as well. So we hosted a dinner, and you can see on my screen over here, this is a dinner that we did, and cool people at the dinner. So Matt Stefanina, he's a DJ. We had BT over here. He's also a DJ. And then founder of 8chan, Nicole, High Street founder over here, Lily, who runs like an AI crypto fund, and then founders of the Krillist, Brett Malinowski. So a lot of great people. I mean, we have Purina from Flicky Gang, Metatope over here, Rachel's Challenge, so Jordan from Metatope, and then so anyway, these are just a couple of names, right? And the fact that you have people here breaking bread, talking about how excited we are about the future, that's a big signal, because what happens in a down market is it flushes out all of the kind of short-term people that are focused on money grabs, and it really keeps the people in that are focused on building for the future. So you have founders, kind of creators that are building for the future from a brand perspective, but you also have engineers really looking at the engineers that are continuing to build over time. And you can look at on-chain data to see like which developers are still kind of pushing code, right? And that's a really positive signal for the long term. So this is a dinner that we did, and afterwards we actually ended up going to a sandbox event where Tiesto was spinning, and Tiesto, world-class DJ, and everyone was just kind of standing around, but more so they were talking to each other about different. I can see people were talking to each other in the crowd, right? Talking to each other about what they're excited about, what they're planning to build, and really. Maybe there's some jokes about the down market, about how things are tough right now. But, the when you go to things like this, when you look at trend lines might show that things are not going so well. But when you look at the some of the qualitative feedback, the qualitative sentiment, that looks really good. And when you look at the quantitative data around developers and engineers continuing to build, that's a very bullish signal for the long term. I went to 8Fest myself. So let me see if I can pull up some more pictures here. This is my little Instagram. We did a Golden DAO event. So this is Andrew Yang. So Golden DAO is more about AAPI initiatives, and I'm happy to support that. Did a karaoke with the team afterwards. That was fun. We did a little happy hour here as well, and you can see a little Littles thing in the background. So we did that, and then this is us at Sandbox. So Will from the Littles, Purina from Flicky Gang, and then Nicole from 8chan. And this 8Fest event, by the way this was done was levels above how it was done last year. So they've really leveled up their production quality. And this is Golden DAO over here, and then this is a little ring that they gave, and this is a little party that my friend Gianni did, right? And so and this is the Littles over here. So, and this is the kind of what's going on. So actually I realized my screen's not even up right now. Let me pull this up over here. So this is going in reverse now. So this is the Littles, little party my friend Gianni did, Golden DAO ring, Golden DAO, 8Fest, and then this is these are the people that I mentioned, and then this is the happy hour that we did, and then hanging out with Andrew Yang, right? So all of this to say is that if it was like everything was falling apart and NFTs were dying, then people probably wouldn't be going to this event. People wouldn't be talking about building. But even if NFTs as these profile pictures, as these JPEGs are, that's an on-ramp into NFTs, right? Long term, what really matters for NFTs is we're going to be NFTing our health records, our diplomas. A lot of our data they're going to be soul-bound tokens, right? So these are, Vitalik talked about rolling out soul-bound tokens. So you can basically send someone a diploma and they can't move it around, but it is on the blockchain. Like you can see over time, like what they've actually accomplished. And that's going to be a lot more legit versus having to kind of dig around and look around on LinkedIn. You can actually see someone's credentials for better or worse. So I think that's very interesting. Other than that, I think our event, lessons learned, when you have a really big event like NFT.NYC, 1,500 speakers and a lot of people kind of descending on New York, it's probably better to partner up on an event instead. And I had a lot of opportunities to partner up with other people. When we did the VCon event, we had like 90 or 100 people roll through, and then our LA event, like 60 to 70 people roll through. So it was very good attendance rate, about 75% or so. In this case, our attendance rate was significantly lower. I'd say maybe about 20 to 25% or so, because A, it was raining, and then B, New York's so spread out, right? So I think partnering up with other groups, that's probably a good move, and bringing awareness and cross-promoting, that's probably the move. And what else would I say? I would say the event itself, that would actually cause me to be a little more bearish on NFTs in general, right? So, and this is only the second time in less than 12 months really that NFT.NYC has done this. So I think they're going to get better, but just having 1,500 speakers that are not vetted and they're kind of talking about whatever they want on stage, that kind of brings the quality down, right? And I understand for them, maybe they're trying to create some type of Main Street activity where the idea is for each speaker, they're bringing maybe 10 to 15 people with them. So when you multiply that, that could be like 15 to 18,000 people or so kind of coming to New York, and people doing business that way. Like that's a cool way to get a conference going, and maybe they can iterate on that. But I would just say that the quality of the conference itself was not good. So a lot of people I know did not actually go to the conference, and they didn't speak at the conference. Instead, they went to all the satellite events, right? So that's kind of the hack with NFT.NYC, at least for right now. I'm hoping they'll do a better job of vetting people long term and maybe not letting as many speakers come, because when you look at the stage, maybe there was of all the kind of seats available, maybe it was like 10 to 15% at times. And maybe when you have a headline speaker come in, it maybe fills up. But I would just say, if you're going to go to these things, pay attention to satellite events. And if there's any kind of if you have a weird feeling, right, if it feels like the event is maybe not the quality that you expect it would be, you're probably right. I stopped in for a little bit just to walk around and get a sense for the vibe, and I knew it wasn't the vibe for me, right? Because it was it was still people talking about short-term stuff and people that still can't see. They're not looking at things from a long-term perspective, right? So I think that's not necessarily wrong. It's just not the way I think, and that's not the way I prefer to think. So anyway, short answer is, are NFTs dead? No. NFT.NYC worth going to? It's worth going when the event is happening. I would say as of right now, I would probably just avoid the event itself. But I do think they'll get better, right? Like, we'll see what happens. But as of right now, I'm probably a hard pass on the event. So hopefully this helps. Please don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment if you agree, disagree with me, were you actually at NFT.NYC, and we'll catch you later.